What's going on, everyone? We hope you had a great trading day today, but even if you didn't, that's all right. We have one more day left for the week, so let's make it a good one. But looking at the market today, around 58% of the S&P 500 closed in the green, which is good to see, but as some of these big bad tech stocks took quite the beating as Nvidia, Apple, AVGO, and a handful of other ones sold off in a pretty scary way. In today's video, we're going to talk about exactly what's going on in the market right now, how this market heating up is a pretty big warning sign, and we're also going to look back throughout history and see what the market normally does in times like this one. On top of that, we do have a pretty crazy $1.8 million big money play today with Penn, so make sure to stick around for that. But besides that, Tom, let's not waste any more time and let's jump right into it.
Yeah, Penn had some pretty crazy news, and we'll definitely be talking about that one later. You can see it running up to 9% right into close there, so definitely a big move. But the overall market had a pretty bad move today by, I would say, this current market standards, right? It ended up being red down 0.27%, but it just seems a lot worse than that because of where the market opened up today. There was actually a big gap this morning, and the market made new all-time highs, which was awesome. We saw the SPY rip up. We saw Nvidia actually ripping up as well. But as the trading day went on, I don't know, Mike, the bulls were hiding today. I think that they partied too hard on the day off yesterday or something. But the market, or Nvidia itself, ended up down 3.54%. Now that's bad. And then its big brother Apple is down 2.15%. And you can see on the heat map, those two stocks have like the biggest influence on the market, right? With Microsoft, which was also down just a little bit. So overall, it was a pretty nasty day for the market, even though the majority of the S&P was green. And there were some good highlights out there like AMD, but I don't know, Mike, that price action was pretty staggering today.
Realistically, there wasn't any single piece of news that truly moved the market today. It was more so a mix of profit taking and then, just people selling and de-risking some of their positions. As we all know, the market has been running up in an insane and just historic way in the short term, and that's great. But at the same time, there comes a point where stocks go up a little bit too much, a little bit too quickly, and an inevitable pullback comes along. And some of the strongest stocks lately, like Nvidia, are some of the ones that are pulling back the soonest. As we already looked at the heat map a bunch of times already, it was leading the way to the downside, and that definitely says a lot. When you have a bunch of eyes on one ticker symbol like Nvidia, when the stock is going up, it's all sunshine and rainbows, and everyone is enjoying the party to the upside. But once the stock starts to fall, a lot of people who love the stock when it was going up are very quick to jump ship once times don't look as great. So looking at Nvidia right now, obviously, it's a powerhouse. It's running with a lot of momentum, but don't be all too surprised if we do see a pullback. And pullbacks are not something that are this scary, horrible thing. Pullbacks are normal, healthy, and expected for stocks. So, if you have a true long-term outlook, then pullbacks can be opportunities to add into the position, assuming you are able to justify the valuation. And if you're a short-term trader, pullbacks can be great times to even trade the stocks to the downside as well. But either way, stocks like Nvidia and some of these other chip stocks will be very, very important to watch over these next couple trading days.
Yeah, they definitely will. They have a big impact on the overall market, and even some of these smaller chip stocks like AVGO, for example, ended up having a pretty brutal day too, down 3.77%. It was pretty mixed as far as the smaller ones go. AMD was a pretty good bright spot. I don't know what's been going on, but AMD's been falling a lot lately. Now that Nvidia falls, AMD starts going up, right? It's almost like it's inversing it just a little bit there, but it's just interesting when you start looking through the chip stocks. But Nvidia is definitely the king of that sector, and I'm really watching this key 129.50 to 130 support. There was a lot of price action right around there today, and it failed to break under. And for tomorrow, that'll be a nice key whole dollar level to really watch, is that key like 129 to 130 area. If we start to see a good breakdown below there, I'm not going to say it's going to go down like it did today, because that was a pretty massive sell-off, but I could definitely see more price actions down if that starts to break.
See, the biggest thing with Nvidia is like when you have a stock that gets so much attention, it attracts a lot of what I'll call unloyal money. So it's like when the stock's going up, all those holders are happier than anyone else. But as soon as the stock starts to fall, those same holders start to sell out. So it's like if we do see bearish price action tomorrow, there is a risk of a lot of this unloyal money selling out. And we've seen that time and time again in the past, not only with Nvidia, but also like SMCI, Tesla, and many other stocks when they've had big run-ups. But either way, looking at the market as a whole right now, what's pretty interesting is that we are heading into, obviously, the end of June, and we can see, historically speaking, this period isn't all that strong for the market. We can see when we look at data going all the way back to 1950, that once you get to like the end of June, the market does normally take a hit in the short term, at least for a little bit. So definitely keep that in mind, and so far, today definitely looks like it's in line with that. But as we know, this is just a historical average. Take each day as it comes.
That's pretty weird, Mike. We just looked at that the other day, and then today, out of nowhere, we have this big, massive sell-off day, or just big red day in general, especially with the tech stocks. And I don't know, it is a bit worrying, right? We're at that time of the year where this generally happens, and it doesn't even have to be anything massive, right? Like, it could just be a very small time of profit taking, and then the overall uptrend is still perfectly intact. But I always like looking at the seasonalities, Mike. It's always fun to see how the historical data has played out, and hopefully the end of June goes better than it went today. But I will say it looks like there is some profits being taken, and in the short term there's going to be some key resistances now to re-break above, and it's going to be pretty hard here in the short term, especially if these tech stocks don't get this good momentum back.
The market's definitely heating up in the short term, which is good to see. But another thing that caught my eye today was this chart here that basically shows that more stocks are hitting brand new 52-week lows on the NYSE. So while this news isn't world-changing or anything like that, it is definitely worth monitoring, because when you see, stocks actively hitting 52-week lows and the amount of them is continuously growing, that definitely says a lot. So just keep this in mind as well. It just goes to show that we're definitely seeing more selling pressure than what you might think just by looking at the S&P 500. We're still very close to all-time highs, but as we all know, the stock market is not necessarily an equal place. We have stocks like Nvidia that are still very close to all-time highs, but we have many, many other stocks out there that are performing in a much worse way, just to put it gently like that. But as we look at the market as a whole right now, let's say SPY, Tom, going into tomorrow, what would you say are like the main levels for both directions?
Yeah, I think in last night's video, I gave a good level to the downside as support, like 545.50, and I said, if we get under there, we're going to have problems. And I'll tell you what, we actually got under there momentarily. So it was a pretty bad drop today by the SPY. Under there, I'm really watching key support right around 544. That is going to be crucial. It was a huge resistance from a couple weeks ago. So as the market falls, definitely watch 544 underneath that low of day today, around 545.50. Beneath there, watch 542 and then 540. That's pretty much what I'm watching. There was a big zone where the SPY was chopping around a few weeks ago as resistance. Over the past couple days, we've really seen a lot of action right around 548.40 to 548.50. That's going to be the main level I watch for tomorrow. If we can re-break that, I'll watch for a push higher towards 550 and then into the high of pre-market from this morning around 550.70 to 551. So that's really what I'm watching for, Mike. Hopefully we don't see too many big supports give out, although if they do, it might not be bad to jump on things like UVXY or maybe something with volatility.
Yeah, no doubt. And one of the key habits and traits that truly separate successful traders from those who fail is the willingness to adapt. Obviously, it is, we're in a bullish market right now, and people who've been on the bull side have been doing great. But there are also times when the market pulls back for, days, weeks, and months at a time. That willingness to adapt means more than anything else. And as we look at the market for tomorrow, in the event we do pull back more, definitely keep a close eye on ETF ETFs like UVXY. This is an ETF that definitely goes pretty crazy when the market sells off in a big way. Basically, when fear, volatility, and panic increase, UVXY shoots to the upside, and like we saw, it moved up by around 5% today. You could also look at ticker symbol SPXS, which basically follows the market, but magnified by 3 times, and it does the opposite. So, like, theoretically, if the market fell by 1%, then SPXS would rise by 3%. So, again, keep it on your radar in the event we do see a sell-off. But, Tom, besides that, the good news is that we have a pretty clear economic and earnings schedule, so we don't really have to worry about anything too crazy.
Yeah, we really don't. For tomorrow, there is like the S&P Global Composite PMI, Global Manufacturing PMI Flash, a couple things like that in the morning, then existing home sales, but that's pretty much it. On the earnings side of things, there's not really anything unless you care about CarMax, which I would say 0.1% of viewers do. So for tomorrow, it's going to be all about that price action with NVIDIA and especially Apple and those bigger tech stocks, right?
All right, well, that's how I like my Fridays. So let's get right into some setups and predictions for tomorrow. A stock I'm watching pretty closely is SMH right now. Essentially, SMH is an ETF of a bunch of semiconductor-related stocks. As we can see, it had a pretty decent sell-off today. And in the event, we do see continuous bearish price action with some of these big bad tech stocks, especially the chip ones. That can make this one pretty easy to pull back. So either way, SMH is on my radar to the downside. But what I want to see more so than anything else is a continuation of this bearish price action. If this thing gaps up 2% tomorrow, or if it opens and it starts running to the upside, then you have to adapt and adjust accordingly. In this situation, it would just be not to play it. But we need to see that continuation of bearish price action in order to justify a play like this one. But either way, it's on my radar.
Yeah, mine too. I'll definitely be watching this as well as NVIDIA and just all the tech stocks in general for tomorrow. There could be some pretty fire plays, and I have Apple coming up in just a minute. But with my first play, I'm looking at Oxy, OXY, to the upside. The oil stocks are starting to pop up quite well in the short term. They were up 1.93% today, and if they start to break out above 63 tomorrow, keep watching them up. But if I go to the daily with Oxy, it's starting to come up pretty well off of this support, and we're getting a lot of good short-term price action. Same thing with crude oil. So I'll definitely be watching Oxy to the upside for tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is NEM. This is a mining company, and it had a pretty good day today as it popped up by 2.4%. What was also nice to see is that gold hit a nice move to the upside, as well as silver, so that definitely helps the mining industry as a whole. So either way, I'm going to keep NEM on close watch tomorrow for the upside, but the same things apply in terms of a continuation of price action, in this case to the upside.
Yeah, NEM and the gold, and just, I was going to say gold miners, but just gold stocks in general and metals did very, very well today. I'll definitely be watching them for the end of the week as well. With my final play, I'm looking at Apple, and I'm looking at the book map here because we're at a pretty crucial level around the 209 to 210 support. And as you can see on the book map, 209 and 210 have been pretty major today. There was a lot of price action mixed in here throughout the day. If we see a breakdown under 209 tomorrow, I'm definitely going to keep watching Apple down. That was a big support towards the end of the day, and if we see it break tomorrow at open, I think we could see a much larger move. This was a pretty major support today. You can see on the order book how there was even a lot around 210 right at the very end of day here overhead. So keep watching Apple for tomorrow. Keep watching these big tech stocks. It's very interesting to see some of this price action at the end of the day, Mike. Like some of these huge buyers and sellers coming in and out of the market there right as Apple's on support. So I'm going to keep watching this crucial level very closely.
All right, there we go. Well, it's now about that time for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have Zoom to the upside. And Tom, this one went up quite literally like all day long.
It really did. Like if you're looking for a play and you're like, wow, what's like a bullish setup, right? Or what's that play where something's continuously touching highs of days? Zoom is like the perfect example there. But if it can break out above 58.50 tomorrow, keep watching it up. There was a lot of momentum, and this stock has been down for a while, so that was a good recovery here.
All right, with the next one, we have CZR also to the upside.
Yeah, we talked about this one yesterday, and it did great today. It opened, ripped above resistance, and kept going quite well. If it breaks above 39.20, then watch it up tomorrow too.
All right, and then with the last one, we have MU for both directions.
Micron, yeah, it was a wild drop here. These chip stocks, man, it was rough for a few of them. Besides AMD, of course, but if MU breaks under 143, then watch them down. That was a pretty good low of day. If they end up re-breaking intraday resistance right around 151, then look at calls back up.
Sounds good. So we have the upside level for a potential move higher. We have the downside level for a potential move lower with MU. Don't forget about the upside levels on CZR and ZM as well. But either way, these three stocks are on watch for potential day trades tomorrow. Only if they break through the levels Tom listed. The stronger and more consistent the price action is, the better the setups become. If the stocks do not break the levels listed, do not feel the need to force them. We're looking for strong, powerful, consistent price action. But that's it for the momentum plays. So I think it is now about that time to jump right into today's $1.8 million big money trade with ticker symbol PENN. So this one's pretty interesting. And as we could already see by looking at the chart, the stock is already moving. And what was pretty interesting, Tom, is there was also another big money play on this one that we covered pretty recently on June 3rd with we could call it $900,000 big money play with the 20 strike calls for October 18th, which have been doing pretty well. But either way, today's big money play, they traded the 20 strike call options for October 18th, and they also shorted the 30 strike call options for October 18th for a total amount of, you could say, I guess, just under $1.9 million. Technically, this is a call debit spread, but the big money wants the stock to go up. If you want to make your life nice and easy, or if you don't have that much experience with the advanced option spreads, instead of trading this call debit spread, you can just trade the 20 strike call options for October 18th of 2024, and it will be a very similar setup. But Tom, the stock is already moving, and there was some news with this one as well. So what's the situation like?
Yeah, Penn has had some pretty wild news over the past couple months, and we heard a lot of news about an activist investor actually pushing for Penn to consider sales. And I couldn't believe when I heard that news. I was like, wow, really? Like they're gonna push for the company to get sold, but that could be a good thing for them, in the long term if they get acquired by somebody bigger than them. And today there was actually some news where it looks like Boyd Gaming is making an approach to Penn Entertainment. And I couldn't believe I read that either with how big Boyd is in the gaming / we'll just say casino industry, right? It is a very huge, I guess, conglomerate or just a huge company in general. Like whenever you think of casinos and that type of sector, Boyd is huge, and it looks like they're actually expressing an interest in acquiring Penn here. But what I will say is that it doesn't look like that this is a done deal yet. Obviously, Penn said that they might not even engage in negotiations, right? And then also they have to win over Walt Disney, which I thought was interesting. ESPN has a partnership with Penn, so they have to win them over too, along with other regulators and stuff in several states. So I don't know. There seems like there's a lot that will have to happen for this deal to get done. But you could obviously tell here that Penn Gaming definitely loves the news, and whenever you get bought out by a company as large as Boyd like that, that's always a good sign. So obviously the stock's moving on that rumor.
Exactly. So it's safe to say that there's a whole lot that would have to be done in order for Penn to get sold, whether it's to Boyd or anyone else. But the main thing is that the stock is finally starting to see some daylight after getting shredded nonstop since 2021. So, this recent price action with Penn has been great. And I think it says a lot how we've had two recent big money plays with this one. So either way, keep this one close on watch in the short term. And one good thing with Penn is that it's one of those stocks that really moves by itself. Penn is not very strongly correlated to the market overall, which is a good thing. So it'll kind of move by itself. But either way, keep this one close on watch going forward. But as we look at the market right now, we're still very close to all-time highs, but we're definitely seeing a shift that's a lot different than what we have seen in the short term. As we already covered earlier in the video, we're also heading into a seasonally weak period of the month, which says a lot. And as we all know, the big tech stocks have been running the market lately, so to see some of them start to sell off in a pretty big way also is worth noting. So, going into tomorrow, let's remain adaptable. Let's follow the money. Let's deploy long-term, smart, disciplined trading habits. And let's end this week on a great note. Before we close out, I do want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, I Am Serve, who said, man, oh man, what a day. This is my Webull profits for the day using SM Bot, like taking candy from a baby. And he had a great post there. So huge shout out, I Am Serve. Not only great job with the profits today, but thanks for being a phenomenal member of the StockedUp community. So huge shout out to you. And if you're into short-term trading, definitely check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. So you could use SM Bot just like I Am Serve did today, but you could also use all of our other bots. Our hybrid bot today crushed it with some NVIDIA put options as it alerted them at $282 each, and they popped all the way up to $1,050 each. So that was around a 270% pop. Of course, not every single play is like this, but today was definitely a pretty big one. Not only do you get access to all of our bots, but you also get to access the big money trades, our live events. You could chat with Tom and myself all day long, and basically everything you could possibly need for short-term trading is included in the StockedUp trading floor. It's the place to be, and we have a lot of great education as well. It'll be that first link in the description and the comments down below. But besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's end this week on a green note.